Hey guys, Corel Cooper here with OnTheBlack.com. Tonight I watched Omar Minaya in an in-studio interview on SNY TV with Kevin Burkhardt. And first I want to say that I think Kevin did an excellent job with the interview. He was direct, he was to the point. He asked Minaya a lot of tough questions that the fans wanted to hear answers to. So I think kudos to Kevin for doing an excellent job with the interview. But in this post, I wanted to point out a couple things during that interview that I picked up on that Minaya said and kind of give my thoughts. First was the Gary Matthews Jr. signing. Minaya explained why he felt that the Mets needed to make that deal. More so obviously because Beltran got hurt, but he also felt that the Mets needed a switch hitter, and they also needed someone that was versatile enough to play all of the outfield positions. So that's the reason for the move on Matthews, and the fact that the Angels are picking up the majority of that contract made it that much more enticing for the Mets to do that. On Benji Molina, Kevin Burkhardt asked Minaya what happened there. How come the Mets didn't get Molina? And it really seemed it came down to two things, which I guess it always comes down to, is that the years and the money. Molina went back to San Francisco, according to Omar, because he felt more comfortable there. And if he was going to come all the way across to the East Coast, he wanted more than a one-year deal, and it doesn't look like the Mets are willing to do more than 1 year with Molina, so that's the reason why he ended up signing with the Giants. And then on the young players in the organization, specifically two players, Ike Davis and Josh Tolley. When asked about those two guys, you could see that Minaya was very enthusiastic about those two guys. He likes those two guys a lot and is really looking forward to see how they develop this year. The one thing I will say on that note is that I hope that the Mets don't rush either of those guys to the major leagues for a long period of time, especially Ike Davis. It's obvious the Mets have a need at first base. There's some question marks at first base, and he is a first baseman. So there could be, I'm hoping that there isn't any need or urgency to rush him. Let him develop, let him take his time and come up when he's ready. So we'll see how that goes throughout spring training and throughout the season, but hopefully they don't rush either of those two young players. And then last but not least, on the pitching, as going through this interview and watching it, I kind of got the sense that outside of John Lackey, Minaya really isn't that impressed with the free agent class of pitchers that's on the market this year. And that might be one of the main reasons why the Mets haven't really pursued any of them. I also think, and I've said this before, that it seems like the Mets are putting a lot of stock in John Maine and Oliver Perez having bounce back years this year, having years like they did in 2007 when each of them won 15 games. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, we're 3 years now removed away from 2007, and those guys really, either one of them really haven't shown signs of performing the way they did in 2007 over the last two seasons. So I don't know if those guys are going to bounce back. I hope they do. I hope I'm wrong. But that definitely is my biggest disagreement with the Mets this offseason in terms of the stock that they're putting in John Maine and Oliver Perez to have bounce back years this year. So for those of you who saw the interview, let me know what you think. For those of you who didn't, please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on some of the points that I touched on in this video. I'll talk to you guys soon.